The PodAskew Podcast is a proud member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Welcome everyone to a special edition of the PodAskew Podcast. I am CJ, and with me, as always, is my hetero life mate Rico. What's up, man?
Special edition? What are you talking about?
We're celebrating, buddy. We're celebrating the class of 2020, and specifically my little brother, my not so little brother, because I think he's got like a foot on me now, but still.
Well, that's not difficult for people of our height, but yes, congratulations.
Yes, so to Michael and the class of 2020, I probably should have looked up his high school name before we started this, but to all of you, I don't think any of them are seeing this except maybe him and his girlfriend anyway, but congratulations to all you guys. It's been an adventure just having Michael in my life. I mean, Rico, you know I'm adopted. We've told our audience that, before, and, so to meet him 8 years ago when he was smaller than me, it's funny because I probably had 6 inches to a foot on him when I met him, and now I think he's got a foot on me. So,
welcome to my world. That's me every time.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy, but I just, it's so awesome to have been a part of that. I went with, this is probably going to embarrass him, and I don't really care. I went with him when we were shopping for his locker for middle school, when he started middle school. I was there right before he started, and me, him, and our mom, Kim, went out to get this stuff for his locker, like shelves and magnets and all that jazz. And now he's graduated from high school, and it's hysterical. It's funny to have watched this process, especially from afar, because I'm still in New Jersey and he's still in Nevada. So,
right.
Yeah, but God, Rico, you want to say something?
Take it from someone who dropped out of high school, got his GED. Good for you. You keep that. And you got a girlfriend. That's awesome.
Right. Wins all around, buddy. Wins all around.
Seriously. The only loss you have is you got CJ as a brother.
Yeah, that's a loss. He's been through a lot this year, man. With the medical issues and all. And Rico, I think I shared that off air. I don't think we've talked about it on air before, and we're not going to get into specifics here. But to that point, he's been through the ringer, and I'm so proud that he not only made it through, but man, I talked to him off and on throughout the whole thing, and his demeanor was the same all the way through. So I'm, and just upbeat and like, I got this, so it was just awesome. And Michael, I couldn't be so proud of you, dude. You're, for having a little brother. I've got 3 now, and 2 of them are out there, and I love you to death, buddy. I'm so happy for you. So congratulations. I loved when I graduated high school. It's one of my greatest memories. I'm glad you're getting that memory too. I'm sorry it's under these conditions with this stupid virus, but at least you're still getting to do it. And, hopefully the 3.5 years leading up to this are still memorable enough that you'll have memories for a lifetime. So congratulations to you, your friends, your girlfriend. I don't know if she's in the same grade, to be honest. So if she's not graduating, my apologies. But if she is, congrats to all of you guys. And I couldn't be happier for you, buddy.
I don't know you, so I can't say anything as deep and eloquent as CJ just did. But congratulations, buddy. Now it's all downhill from here.
Yeah, basically. I think I speak for all of PodAskew, myself, you, Steph, and Debbie when we say congratulations, man. Good job.
Congratulations and good luck.
So now moving on to the audio-only portion of PodAskew.
Yes. Can I swear now?
Yes, now you can swear, buddy. You can curse all the fuck you want.
All right, fuck, shit, ass, damn it, cock, smoking motherfucking cock.
And that's the end of PodAskew. No,
I feel so much better. I just feel like I exhaled a whole bunch of nicotine. You know, some swearing, and I feel so good.
Yeah, man. So congratulations to Michael and all that, though, right? That's awesome shit.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. High school was a weird time for me, like it is for a lot of people, but I'm glad I got my GED. I'm glad I got the fuck out. You know what GED stands for?
Good enough diploma?
Yep.
Yeah, I've heard that joke.
Yeah, that's cool.
But yeah, it's just awesome. In the video we just shot. So for our listeners, what we just did, the first 3-4 minutes of this, we shot a video that is being shown to Michael at a graduation celebration they're having for him.
It's the most G-rated thing we've ever done.
Yeah, it probably is.
The only thing that's missing is the fucking Snow White going,
So I thank you again, Rico, for that. But as you can see, I'm wearing the shirt I'm wearing is actually for his old soccer team.
Oh yeah,
which was one of the first things that I got to do when I first met them. I got out there late one night. The first time I ever met them, I got out there at 9 or 10 o'clock Vegas time.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously isn't super late, but after traveling all day and coming from the East Coast to the West Coast, all that kind of stuff. So we all hung out for a little bit, but basically went to bed after that. And then the first thing we did is Michael had soccer practice. So, we just...
So that was your introduction, was seeing him destroy the battlefield.
Yeah, I mean, I met him at the airport. He came with my mom and his father, who's my stepdad, for lack of a better word,
How does that work, though? Because you have your mom, who is your adopted mom, then you have your birth mom, and then if your birth mom has a husband...
Well, she's got my birth mom, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
If your birth mom has a husband, would that still make him technically your stepdad?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, I've always looked at it that way. I don't...
It's easier than saying your birth mom's husband. It just doesn't flow.
Right. I mean, and I don't even... Listen, and she understands why, but I call her Kim to her face. I don't call her mom. Because my mom is mom. And, and there were long discussions about all that when we first started connecting, about that kind of stuff. And she gets it, and... if it happens, it happens, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. Maybe one day we'll call her mom. I don't know. You know what I mean? But right now, she's Kim, and she has said I could say her name. I've asked her that a long time ago.
Cool.
First name. I'm not gonna say last name, but first name.
Right.
And it's not like I've never used the term for her, because when I'm talking to my sister, I'll say, "Hey, did you talk to mom today?"
Sure.
So it's not like I won't acknowledge where she fits into this puzzle,
Right. The ultimate irony is I will if I'm talking to my brothers or my sister, I will sometimes refer to my dad as Ron. Have you talked to Ron today?
Yeah, well, more times than not, though, you don't, even when you're just talking about him, whether to me on here or just privately, you usually call him Ron. I very rarely hear you say the word dad.
Well, I think for most contexts, if I ever drop his name on the show, it's,
But even in private conversations we've had where we're just shooting the shit about stuff,
Right. I mean, I think my general rule is if when he's annoying me, he's Ron. When he's not, he's Dad.
So he annoys you a ton then, because he's almost always Ron.
Dude, my brother and I basically both unanimously came up with a term at the same time. We're there's the right way and then there's the Ron way.
Well, it's funny because all right, you joke with me about never watching things that are involving my area. I think you talk about Always Sunny, and then it was a movie or something. I forget what it was, but
yeah,
there's a show also out there called the Goldbergs that takes place right here in town, and also takes place in the 80s. So I mean, it's a win-win for me.
If anyone would ever relate to it, it's you.
And I totally fucking do. It's crazy. But I kind of was again, it's that thing that we've talked about before, where if something's popular, I tend to like shy away from it,
Sure.
And the Goldbergs, especially out here, is insanely popular,
Right.
So
at the level of Rocky, or not as high.
It's getting there. Yeah, I don't know if it's there yet, but it's getting there. Yeah, it's not all. Here's the better barometer. It's not Always Sunny yet, because Always Sunny is also insanely popular out here.
I would imagine so.
So
I think It's Always Sunny. I think there may have been like some like only the people who lived in Philly were like, Rocky Pride, he's from Philly, and then I think people kind of just maybe forgot. I think someone who could watch Rocky be like, oh, it's not in New York. You know what I mean? Like you could kind of watch that movie and be like, oh, it's clearly New York because big city and blah, 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 blah. And then It's Always Sunny probably revamped an interest in Philly.
Right. That's all fair. I would agree with that. And then I think the Goldbergs yet again. Because even Jay loves the Goldbergs.
Mm-hmm.
And had no idea. Because the Goldbergs actually takes place in a town called Jenkintown, which is really a suburb of Philly. It's
a real place?
Oh, yeah. No, everything in that show except for the name of the school they go to,
mm-hmm.
and a couple of the characters. And I mean only like one or two. Now, one of the main characters isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
And then the name of the school is different. Like the school, and they don't hide this information, so I'm not like blasting things out to the public because they've talked about it on the show. The school in the show is called William Penn Academy, and the actual name of the school is the Penn Charter School.
Okay.
So it's not. But getting back to siblings, like the biggest change I think is that in the show he's got an older brother and an older sister.
Mm-hmm.
In real life, he's got two brothers,
mm-hmm.
but his one brother's gay. The oldest one. So he made that one a girl on the show. I also think that it appeals to all demographics, personally. And from all indications, the brother who is gay is 100% okay with it. Like, he's got zero problem with the change.
I think it just would be pushing the realism of, in the 80s, it was more acceptable to be gay. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's
yeah.
I kind of hate to say it, but I think having a character who's gay in the 80s in Philly would almost come across as a gimmick.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame, but you're probably right. You know what I mean? So I hear you. Either way, like I said, the brother who is gay is 100% okay with it. Like, he's got zero objection to that.
Right.
So that's the good news. I mean, and because in the early episodes, the characters, Adam, the main character, is notorious for filming. Well, throughout the show, he's notorious for filming on like an old VHS, like full tape VHS thing. But then they actually show the footage of the old VHS tapes, like during the credits. And cool. Stuff like that. Yeah, it's a really, Rico, you really would like it. It is on Hulu. I know you guys have Hulu. I really recommend you check it out. I think even though you don't have as much attachment to the area or the 80s, I just think you would enjoy the show.
Sure, I mean, just some retroness.
Yeah, and certain things. So it's fun. We can talk about that on another day. But I know you had wanted to talk to me about some of the stuff with the adopted family, and we started getting into it with, stepdad versus not stepdad and all that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But, you wanted to talk about this on air for pretty much since we started.
Right. Because I find it just super fascinating because I'm not adopted, and I've always, I guess my initial question is, do you, CJ, think you being adopted defines you? Because you talk about it, but you bring it up more than I do.
Because it's a part of who I am. Does it define me? No, I don't think so. I don't feel like I do.
Do you think it's a big part of who you are? I mean, do you think it's? I don't know. I don't know how you feel about. Because I mean, most adoptions usually, not to generalize, but they usually kind of come from like the beginnings. The origins are kind of like not a happy story. It's usually it's usually brought on through, I just can't raise the kid, or I'm too young, or I don't have the capabilities of raising this child. I mean, there's a kind of an underlying sadness through adoption is how I kind of view it.
Well, I mean, and you know, without sharing too much of Kim's business, it is exactly what you said. She was not in a good position to raise me at the time she had me. But where I think the credit goes here is to my mom, because that's one of the. We didn't have a whole lot of information about Kim and her family prior to me finding her 8 years ago at this point. Our knowledge base was limited, very much so. We knew approximately how old she was, you know, we knew approximately where she lived, like what town, but that's the extent. And that's really it. That's all the data we had.
Right.
And based on solely that, my mom made it a point for me never to get this, like, you weren't good enough or she didn't want you. She really, from the time that she told me I was adopted, which was as she told me as early as I could conceivably understand what that meant. So I think like age 6, 7, 8, like it's not one of those things where, you know, you're going through your parents' attic and you find the adoption papers and you're like, oh my God, like in your 20 something, you know, like I've known this basically my whole life. So, and well, she stressed. Sorry,
I mean, I'll give your mom credit. I mean, she didn't hide it from you, but she also was like, "This doesn't mean you don't matter to me."
Oh, you know? Absolutely.
Because I have heard from tragic like adoption stories where it's like the adopted parents will be like, you know, you're not really mine. You're not really my child. You know, that kind of like...
And that sadly does happen. It fortunately did not happen here. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that. Like, my mom was like, look, you know, I'm your mother, and I love you to death. And, you know, because my mom couldn't have kids. She tried 13 times before she ended up adopting me. And
maybe it was 13. That was the wrong number. Maybe she should have tried one more time.
Yeah, maybe. No, but they were all, I mean, sadly, they were all either miscarriages or stillbirths or stuff like that, you know, so it was sad for her. And then a couple years before, you know, I came along, they gave up trying and just went to the let's adopt phase, which takes time too, you know.
I mean, that's got to be like one of the best compliments that you can ever receive, is that even though you and I, but you primarily, joke about your disability, that's got to be a clear indicator that a clear, you know, a ego boost. It's like you had problems even when you were 6 months old. True?
Yeah. Well, that's how they indicated what was going on. I mean, they figured out what was going on. Was like, though I wasn't doing certain things you should do at that stage of development. You know, like. But
your mom still saw the quote unquote problems and was like, nope, I still want this one. Well, good enough for me to want. You know.
So it's funny you put it that way. And I know you're just trying to prove a positive point, and you absolutely are. So understand that I'm not finding fault with your thing here. But my mom did contact, so I was adopted through the state, like Family Services, like not some, you know, third-party agency. And I don't know why they did this. The only thing I've never really asked, and I guess I just never really cared because it didn't matter. But they contacted Family Services after the fact to let them know that I had a disability.
Your parents, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they, in turn, offered to take me back. The state did.
Oh. But why did your mom and your dad say, like, by the way, the baby that we got was a defect, we still want him?
Well,
you know, but
I'd have to ask her again, but my understanding is that I think she wanted that information passed on to Kim.
Oh.
I think it was meant with positive intentions, but either way. So
I do kind of find it a little funny that the adoption agency was just like, oh, well, you could bring him back. We'll find another one. You know, we batteries included this time. You
know? So, but they do this, and apparently, and obviously I'm too young at this point to remember anything, but my dad, who's a fairly reserved, or was a fairly reserved human being, lost his shit and flipped the fuck out at the person who offered to take, like right then and there on the phone, just lost his shit and flipped out.
It's like, no, he's my son. You're not taking my son away from me, even if you gave him to me in the first place.
Right, yeah, it was, no, but apparently it was like riddled. It would be like you just talking on a Monday, so.
Sure.
But yeah, he lost his mind, and that's something I've never forgotten, that story, because like it's just, again, it's a shame you don't know my dad, but my dad was, technically you don't even know my mom, but you could at least talk to her potentially. My dad, unfortunately, not, but he was very reserved and laid back kind of dude. So
I'd like to also state, regardless of, I actually don't know if your mom listens on a regular basis or not
regularly.
Or even at all.
No, she does, but not regularly. Yeah.
But like, I'd like you to know that like you could reach out to me if you're ever like curious to talk to me. Like I'm happy to I'd love to share some awful stories about CJ.
Well, she's not on social media, so I think that would be.
I thought she was on Facebook.
Oh, she is on Facebook. That's right. Yeah. So I guess she could reach out to you that way. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You weirdo. But yeah, so that's how that, and then, like I said, Mom was never like, you weren't good enough for them or whatever,
No,
so
the point was that you were perfect for them. That's the point.
No, right. Well, on both ends. Like I wasn't good enough for Kim and her family, and I wasn't good enough for my mom and my dad either.
Yeah, and I do kind of respect the we want Kim to realize that even though there is something wrong, because you can I respect your parents' decision to be like, we still want the birth mother to know what he has.
Well, I'll take it a step further. Mom, so just so we have a name to reference here, DIFUS is the name of the organization, the family service out here. They go by DIFUS. It's an acronym. And Mom wrote letters to DIFUS, forget if it was monthly or quarterly or something, for them to forward to Kim, giving her updates on my development, disability or not, just here's how your son is doing.
Right, he had his first walk today. It only lasted a second, but he had his first walk.
Right, whatever it was. Yeah, and that, those letters never got to Kim. She never got them. But
no way.
Yeah. Which, as I understand it, was kind of at Kim's request. Not that they contacted her and said, hey, we have these letters, but she, when they went through the initial process, said, hands off, I'm out after this. Like, sign the paperwork, whatever, and then,
I don't know the personal details, and it's not really relevant unless you want to, but I'm sure that was probably Kim wanting to be, I need to move on. I need to move on.
I know, it's exactly what, yeah. Look, I think I can say this safely without upsetting anybody. She was 16 when she delivered me. So, to your point, yes, she wants to get on with the rest of her life. And it's not that, like, to your point from earlier, I wasn't important to her. It was actually important to her that I was in a family that could, raise me appropriately and treat me well and all those types of things. Like, one of the first questions she asked me when we finally did connect was, did you have a good life? Like, have you, how was life with Mom? And I, even before she got to ask that question in my initial letter, like, let her know, hey, like, I'm okay. You
lied.
What?
You lied.
Well, yeah, I did, but no. No, but in all seriousness, that, like, I'm all right. Like, I'm not,
Do you look like him?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Again, not to, if you don't want to share it, that's fine. Do you know anything about your birth father?
Well, okay, so funny you said that. I thought you knew this. About 18 months after, 18 months? No, had to be, let's see. I've known Kim and them now for 8 years, and Deb and I have been together for 4. So
You've
about
known
4.
Me too.
Right. Yeah, that in regards to what I'm trying to figure out, that doesn't mean shit. But thank you. No, so about 4 years into this, I'm up one night. I'm actually not with Deb yet even. I'm in with my now ex-girlfriend, and she's here, and we're just hanging around, and I get a call from Kim at like 11:30 my time. And being that she's in Nevada, that's uncommon for her. She's pretty aware of the time difference and generally doesn't reach out late unless something's going on, or she'll just shoot me a text that she knows I'll see next morning. But for her to be calling at that hour,
yeah, it's I do the same thing. If I've ever called you when it's like 11 o'clock or midnight your time, it's like I have something really fucked up to tell you or something really funny.
Right, or a mixture of both.
Yeah, usually hand in hand in my household and life.
Yeah, true. So she reached out to me and called and said, "Hey, look, I have something to tell you." And I said, "What's up?" And she goes, "I found your father." So, and what I had found out was that apparently, so long story short, Kim lived in Nevada.
Mm-hmm.
Her mom, who was divorced from Kim's father at that point, moved to New Jersey because all right. I was trying to avoid saying Vegas, but I think I can say Vegas safely without giving away exactly where they live. Well, no, I'm just trying to respect their privacy a little bit, but
I would also assume when people say Nevada, they automatically think Vegas, so it's really not that.
There's Reno too. Reno's pretty big, but in any event, the point being is that my grandmother is a blackjack dealer, or was a blackjack dealer.
You did tell us. You did share that.
I have shared that before. Okay, yeah. So her husband was also a dealer and got transferred from.
You actually were like put in audio of a voicemail of your grandmother saying, "Happy birthday, you little bastard!" Like,
no, that's my great grandmother. That's my great grandmother. Yeah.
That's my point. Is like if you can have an audio of the great grandmother, I don't really think people are going to really give a shit that you talk about how your grandmother was a blackjack dealer.
Yeah, well, that's true. So anyway, I forget what I was saying now.
Your father.
Oh, right. So apparently, the reason that they ended up in New Jersey was my grandmother followed her husband, who was also a dealer, and got transferred from a Vegas casino to an Atlantic City casino. So
you have roots in both Jersey and Nevada. That's on both.
Yeah, well, essentially, because they were out here for a year and some change, and during that year, that's when I was born.
Right.
When they went back, because they went back after about like 18 months or 24 months, something like that, she reconnected with my father and told him, okay, I was pregnant, I gave birth and whatever. Because she didn't know she was pregnant until a month before I was born.
What?
Yeah. Swear to God, hand to God. And she'll tell you that too.
I mean, I don't mean to like really make fun, but like, is she the type of mom who like finds out she's pregnant when the kid comes out? Like,
I think when you're that young and you don't, you got to think about the time too. I mean, like things were very different.
But okay, I find it kind of okay, whatever.
Can you see the screen?
Yeah, but I'm covering my screen. Let me fix this. Oh yeah, I definitely see it.
Yeah,
I definitely see the resemblance.
So that's me and her, and then I'll share another one with you in a second. But
that's a nice photo.
Thank you. Well, that was professionally done. We had that done when my moms met. My mom.
It's a nice photo, despite you.
Well, yes, despite me. My moms have met actually, and talked to each other. Actually, more than they talk to me. Come to think of it, but
that's not good. You have two separate mothers, like.
Oh, I have gotten texts from Kim going, "Why did you say that to your mother?" That's happened more times than I care to remember. To be honest with you,
don't talk to your mother like that.
No, absolutely, it's happened.
That's fucking funny to me. You just get the double verbal bitch slap. I love it.
All the fucking time. And now, throw my sister into the mix. My sister will also, my oldest sister, who I'm still older than. I'm the oldest sibling of of everybody. But and so to your point, real quick, going back to that. So anyway, she reaches out and said, "I found your father," and
right,
you know, and so yes, now I know who he is, and he lives in Portland,
Oregon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all of but he originally is from Vegas as well, and still has family there.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's an interesting dynamic for sure. You know.
Mm-hmm.
And but yeah, so I met him, and so between he's got 4 kids, she's got 3, all separate from me, you know, from each other. And then I'm like the connecting. So I'm one. I went from an only child being raised to one of 8.
Yeah. Okay. So you went from being an only child to having a vast family.
Very much so.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's very cool. It excites me to see it. Are you still seeing my screen or no?
Yes.
Oh, you are. Do you see this picture?
I still see the one of you and Kim.
Oh, okay. Then you're not seeing what I want you to see, but I will fix that. So
See what I see.
So let's go here. And there. Tell me if something new pops up.
Yes, something new popped up. So
That's
who
it.
dis? Oh my God, that's got to be your birth dad.
Yeah, that's who that is.
Dude, that I definitely see a resemblance.
I'm a good mixture of the two, for sure.
You definitely are.
Yeah.
You're one of those random cases where it's like you look like both parents.
Yeah.
You got to look at this. This is
It's ladies again, Steph. That's funny.
That's funny, dude. Like, I mean, no disrespect to this guy.
No.
He kind of looks like a slightly chubbier version of you.
Well, yeah, and I think he's thinned out. I'll show you what he looks like now. This is an older picture, but I wanted you to see with the goatee. I'll show you a more recent picture, but...
I don't think I've actually seen you without a goatee, so it's going to be really hard to compare.
Well, no. He's got a full fucking beard now, so...
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted you to see the goatee picture first. Let's see. I think... Is this... Well, I don't know when this is from. This looks pretty recent. I'm going to go with this one.
Okay. Yeah, I still see it. So who's... Okay, I mean...
That would be my niece.
That's your niece.
That's my niece, yeah.
All right.
His oldest daughter right now has 2 kids. Kim's oldest daughter has 2 kids. And my brother on Kim's side has 3 kids.
Jesus, you guys fucking breed like Catholic rabbits. This is astounding.
Well, they are Catholic except for my sister. My sister on my mom's side converted to Mormonism when she got married, so...
Well, I'm glad you guys aren't listening to this. I apologize. All right.
Do you want me to? Do you want Steph to see that picture of Kim? I'll put that back up if you want.
Sure, Steph. You can look at his birth mom.
How do I make this go away? Go away.
It's not up yet.
It's not up yet?
There
it should be. Okay.
Yeah, like you have your mom's features. The
eyes
nose up.
Yeah, and then dad down. Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, that's definitely it. That's cool. I mean, see, I don't look like... People have said that I kind of look like my dad, but I really don't see it. I definitely see me and my mom. I definitely see... Like, I have a home video that is me as a baby, and my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, says, God, he looks so much like Nancy. He looks like a little bald Nancy. It's just... It's true.
You want to see just a cool picture before we stop sharing pictures? Well, I can keep sharing pictures with you, but I'll show you this one too.
Sure. I love how you're sharing pictures through an audio.
Well, yeah, I know, and I'm sorry to the audience, but some of this stuff I have to keep private. But I know it'll help you with your questions and stuff. So, I mean, like, you know.
Sure. Oh, guys, you guys are missing some of the greatest pictures ever. Sucks to be you. I don't see anything yet. It's still you and your mom.
It might be loading. Oh, no. I see what I got to do. Okay, hold on. Anyway.
What you gotta do.
But yeah, so that's how it went with, what the shit is all this bull crap? Okay.
This is photos.
Yeah. Let's just do it this way. Anyway. But yeah, so I found him. She reached out and said, so apparently when she went back, she told him what happened about having me. and he asked her to promise him that if I ever reached out and found her, for her to just find him and let him know. And she kept that promise, however many years later, 30 some odd years later. So credit to her for that too,
Yeah. I mean, in no way do I ever want to imply that I think Kim is like an unfit parent or a bad mother or a bad human being. No, I just want to establish that.
Right.
That, there are circumstances where just mothers just can't always be, parents. So I want to give her the credit that I do think she's an admirable woman in sticking to her promises and all that. Yeah, I mean, I see the photo. I like it. It's
so
cute.
what I'm for the audience, even though you're not going to see it, what I'm showing Rico is a picture of being both my moms. So it's kind of a cool picture. So
now, not to be mean in any way, but your mom, not Kim, is a little older.
Oh yeah, no, she's a couple years younger than Ron, just by like a couple years, legit, yeah.
It does for a little bit. It does kind of look like 3 separate generations. Like it almost looks like
it really is. No, it absolutely is.
No, but it looks like it could be son, mother, grandmother.
Oh well,
just in that context.
I get it.
Someone who doesn't know.
No, I understand that, but yeah.
And now your mom is going to be like, oh, I'll definitely respond. I'm just going to be like, how dare you say I look old, you son of a bitch.
But yeah, so she reached out and found him and told him, and then, and they talked briefly before I met him because they hadn't spoken in like 20 years or whatever it's been or whatever. So
was there ever a point with either Kim or the father? I don't know if we want to say his name or not.
Yeah, I haven't gotten permission from him, so I don't want to say it without his permission.
Right.
I'm sure he wouldn't care, but I just don't know. Yeah.
With either of them or with both of them, was there ever a point where you were kind of nervous?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah.
But were you more nervous with one over the other?
Yeah, probably her, to be honest with you. Yeah, because, with all respect to him, and I don't know why. And I don't have a reason for this, Rico. You can ask me 100 times and I will never have an answer for you. I was always more interested in finding her.
Well, because he didn't know. I think that's kind of the
What do you mean?
Because he knew that he had a kid out there, but he didn't know until after it happened. I think it's kind of like he was sort of...
But what's that got to do with... What's that got to do with my want? That's what I'm not grasping here.
I don't know. Maybe subconsciously you were like, well, it's different because Kim knew first.
I mean, I could. I would associate it more like this, though. With all respect to him, my mom never really talked about him because we had no data on him.
Right.
The only thing we knew was his age. That's it. Like, we didn't even know where he was or anything like that. So as I was being raised, and the adoption would come up from time to time, it would be focused on Kim and what she did and the choices she made. Because yes, as any adopted kid is, when I thought about, well, why wasn't I good enough? I'm sure that crossed my mind. It didn't haunt me like it does some people, and it does, and that's sad. But
yeah,
I think for me it'd be those moments where, or it would be days like we would just congratulate Michael on graduating. Like, it's a shame she's not a part of my life when I'm graduating high school or driving for the first time or, those milestone moments that you have in life,
Right.
So that's when she would come up more than anything. And I think for whatever reason, I just focused on her more. And my dad knows this, like we've talked about it. I have not hid that from him,
Well, to give you a quote by my father.
Oh, God, this will be good.
No. It's actually probably one of the best quotes he's ever said.
Okay.
Because I grew up with, divorced parents. And even in a similar way of being like, why didn't they want me? Even if you don't believe that, every kid goes through the blame game, especially the self-blame game, where they're like, is it my fault? And for being a kid of divorced parents, I did that as well. It took me a while to kind of realize, oh my God, I have more questions of how the fuck were they even together in the first place.
Yeah, well, right, which with the stories you've shared, that makes sense. You know.
Well, because it's like they're so radically different people.
Yeah.
And you could argue opposites attract, but like at the same time, it's like, yeah, but not this fucking opposite.
Right.
Like
right.
it's oil and water. It's and so I remember when I was really, really stressed out and sick when I was like 10 years old, when I was just getting migraines on a daily basis. And on a recent episode that we did about mothers and everything, I don't know if I really attributed to it too much, but I definitely stressed about my mom. Not about, oh, what is she doing to me? I was stressing because I was really protective and really worried. And my dad didn't want to, my dad was torn because he was subjecting me to an inferior way of raising a child. It was, he wanted the best for me. Regardless of my feelings of my mother or my father, he just wanted the best for me. At that time, he's kind of said, fuck it, whatever. Now you're on your own. No, I'm joking. He's still as rough around the edges as he is, and as much as we butt heads on a pretty frequent basis, he does give a shit, and he's always kind of like, I just want to make sure you're good. You always.
If I could jump in, Rico, I'm sorry, but from stories you've told, and again, you joke and stuff, but he has actually sounded like a really good father. I mean, like he's rough around the edges, and he may not be conventional, so he might do things very unconventionally, but at the same time, he's clearly cared about his son. You know what I mean? Right. So yeah,
I think not to say he doesn't love my siblings on an equal basis. I think he had to focus on me a little differently.
Sure.
As opposed, because mothers and circumstances and yada yada yada. But I remember my dad was just like torn about dropping me off at my mother's. He didn't want me at my mother's unless it was the designated agreed time.
Right.
And then I remember a friend of his told him, and amazingly, it was Dave Farber who said this. And you've spoken today, so when I give you this profound quote, you're gonna be like, "Wow, he said that shit."
Mm-hmm.
And Dad forgets that he didn't come up with it. So it's like a Ron DiGiorgio quote that he has sort of taken over. He said, "Little boys need their mommies."
Yeah,
and that really kind of hit Dad in a really
profound kind of way.
A profound kind of way for him to be like, "I know the right choice as I see to raise my son is to get him away from stress and dysfunction. However, I think shielding him from a mother who does love him is also just as wrong." So
I would agree.
My dad was really, so that was what I was thinking when you're like, well, I kind of gravitated towards knowing and having a relationship with Kim as opposed to my birth father, because that's really just kind of it. It is. I mean, there is that young men should have a positive male role model in their lives. But when you break it down, little boys also need their mommies.
Right.
And it's a very different thing. It's a very different level of understanding and love and relationship.
Yeah, and getting back to some words you just used, I want to tell you what I do in my life to differentiate the four of them.
Mm-hmm.
So Kim is my mother, but my mom is mom.
Is your mom.
You know what I mean? And same with my birth father and my dad. The guy in Oregon, great guy, is my father. My dad is a guy who is no longer with us, but was there my whole life, And that's how I differentiate between the adoption parents and the biological parents.
You should call your father your Vader now, because it would just be it would be just
but he's not evil. That's the thing.
He's not.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Luke got Vader back to the good side.
Yeah, but he had to flip him. This guy's not. I don't have to flip this guy. He's a nice guy.
All right.
I'm showing you a picture again. I'm sorry to the audience, but I'm showing you a picture from that very first soccer practice that I told you about.
It looks like you're in a fucking kaleidoscope.
Well, it's because of the rainbow colored umbrella. Because when it's 110 degrees out in the sun, you kind of need shade. So
when it's 110 degrees out, that's when you say, "All right, guys, we're not doing soccer today." Fuck you
no,
guys.
not there. They don't look at stuff like that. In any event, so yeah, there's that. I'm trying to show you some other. I do want to share some pictures with you, and again to the audience, I apologize, but I'm just trying to see if there's anything real good. I don't want to go through all these because there's a bunch. This is the guy we just said congratulations to, but this is back when he was 12. So, you know,
that's a big ass Sunday.
It is. Well, actually, it's more like a float.
Yeah, it looks like a float. I had a float last night.
There you go. But in any event, yeah. So that's how that worked. Did you want me to tell you how the whole process went, or do we not want to bore people with that?
No disrespect. I mean, it's probably I don't know. If you want to share it, I'm happy to. I don't really care about that part of the story. No, I'm just being honest. I don't really care about that part of the story. I'm more concerned about you as a person, how you kind of view adoption on a whole. Like, if you like, even just on a superficial level, do you like look at Superman as sort of a kinship?
No, but at the same time, and it's funny you say that because, and I think I've shared this before, but I'll say it again. Like, I saw Man of Steel like a month after or not even, like weeks after I found Kim. Weeks. Like, it came out right at the same time.
That's 2013? Assuming you saw Man of Steel in theaters.
I did see Man of Steel in theaters. I'm actually confirming because I feel like it was 2012.
It's 2013. You might be right. We'll double check.
Yeah. Anyway, so it had, or maybe I was in the midst of having the communication with her by that point. Let's put it that way. So it may not have been like right after, yeah, 2013. So let me put it this way. I'll try to do the abridged version because I think it's important. I think it's important for people who, because I also have to stress, and this is sad, I hate to have to do this, my story in terms of the connecting with Kim and her family is not the norm. Generally, it's negative. There's, animosity, or, they're out to get something. Like, that was Kim's big thing in the beginning, was making sure that I wasn't like, because they're not rich, they're not like loaded money, but they do pretty well for themselves, and certainly better than the family I was raised in. And my mom kicked ass and took names, so like I was never, starving and no electricity and stuff like that. And I know people that were like that, so I'm not disrespecting any of them, but I did well, But Kim in her current situation does pretty well, and so I think she was, hesitant at first, and I get that. I totally understand that. Like, I have zero objection. So what happened was they passed a law back in 1998 in New Jersey that if you're adopted through the state, like I was, before a certain date, and you were born before a certain date, you were entitled to data about your biological family. Like, by law, they couldn't keep you from it, right? Mm-hmm. Please don't ask me what that date is because I don't know. All I know is that I qualify for both.
Sure.
So I reached out and said that. Now, I didn't reach out till I was 30. My mom had been wanting me to do this since I was 18.
Your mom wanted you to do this?
Yeah, since I was 18. From the day I was old, because that was the one condition with the law. You couldn't start that process until you were an adult yourself.
Right.
So you had to be at least 18. And from the minute I turned 18, my mom was like, do it. And I was like, nah, I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't until my dad died that I started to really consider it.
Do you think it was because of your dad's death that you were like, I could never replace my dad, but at least I want to fill a slight void?
I think it contributed. I think it also was a kind of a like, I'm not super close with my extended adopted family. Like, they're not negative towards me. They're not like shitty to me, but we're not super close either. And I think there was a part of me, and as you mentioned from the one picture, my mom, generational. My mom was 40 when she adopted me. So, Do the math, people. You know how old I am, so whatever. But the point is that one day she's not going to be here, like all of our parents, to be fair. And I don't mean to get like morbid, but it's going to happen to all of us at some point.
Yeah, you and I will not be here. So
and one day we won't be here. And the thought of not having any family was really starting to kind of get to me, and knowing her age when she had me and being able to do the math, I knew she'd be around a lot longer. So it wasn't about replacing, but it was just about extending. Do you know what I mean? And adding and stuff. So
sure.
And so I started the process, and the woman at the office, there was one woman, literally one woman that takes all of these requests and does them. So that's it. And I spoke to her, and she's like, we'll send you the form. You got to fill the form out and send it back. There's no money to none of that, but you just have to fill the form out, and you have to sign it because it's kind of like a contractual thing. So I said, okay. She sent it out to me, and pre-printed on it, not handwritten, like pre-printed on it, it says, we will not get to this for 6 months, minimum.
Wow.
That's how many requests there are. So
that's how many adopted kids there are.
That too. I think it extended out to foster kids too. So even if they're never adopted, I think you're allowed. It extended out to that group too. But yes, your point still stands.
What's the major difference between foster and adopted?
Foster is you're never. I mean, I don't know how else to phrase it, and I apologize to any person who's listening who is a foster child. You don't actually ever belong to anybody. You know what I mean? Okay. You don't ever have someone's last name, and if you're lucky, you have your birth family's
of the state kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. It's basically what it boils down to. But you live when you're fostering, you're living with other families while they're trying to find you a permanent home or whatever, and you can age out of that. Once you hit 18, then you're just out on your own, and good luck to you.
Yep.
Which is sad. That's all, and that's a whole nother discussion.
I brought up Superman and Man of Steel and all that shit.
Sure.
I also find it is interesting that as much as we praise the Marvel universe, the MCU and everything, and we kind of sometimes deservingly show shit on the DCEU, I will state that it's really fascinating to see how the DCEU has talked about adoption more than the MCU and shown two conflicting different sides. You got the Marthas. You got Martha Kent, adopting Superman, kind of fucking illegally, because I want to know how that whole thing happened, where like Jonathan and Martha Kent were like, "Hey, we found this kid. We want to adopt him." And
I wonder if that's ever explained in a comic somewhere. It might be, but anyway, go ahead.
And then on the other side, you get Shazam, who was abandoned by his birth mother. And then finds his birth mother, and that was kind of like I was expecting you to like Shazam on a personal level because you were not quote unquote abandoned in that aspect.
I like the character. I don't like the movie. The movie just looks bad. The character I don't have a problem with.
Yeah, I know you still haven't seen it, huh?
No.
I mean, there is a part, and there is a part where he goes, and the whole thing is Billy Batson is looking for his biological mother, and he's a ward of the state, and he's constantly thrown in foster care and adopted parents and blah, 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 blah. And then, I don't know how it took him that long to just because another kid who's kind of like a moderate computer whiz just finds his mom online really easily. But okay, whatever.
It depends on what information you have. You know what I mean? So
I don't know her first and last fucking name.
Well, right. I didn't have that, so I wouldn't have been able to. But
at any rate,
yeah.
There is this part where he goes and finds his birth mother, and she just kind of says, "Oh, I didn't lose you. I let you go. I didn't want you," and. It's a tearful thing, and she's kind of like, "Oh, are you good? Are you happy?" He's like, "No, I'm not. I'm miserable. I've been looking for you for the past 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm 17 years old. What the hell am I doing?" And it is kind of a really poignant.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it shows the complete opposite of you're not my child, but I'm going to be your mother. It's you are my child, but can you find someone else to raise you? It's really a weird.
It is, and then you have the third end of it with orphan and with Bruce, because yeah. So I get it. Look, I want to correct something you said, because I think DC has always handled it well. I think that and it's just the EU, the movie universe, that's been shit, but the DC comic universe has always handled it well, I think. You know what I mean?
I said the DCEU is how I established it.
Okay. I mean, I guess maybe I misunderstood what you meant by that. So I want to just tell a little more of the story, Rico, because I think there's parts of it you're going to find kind of interesting, and then we'll wrap it up, I think, because I don't want to overbore you with it all, but I think you'll find some of it interesting. So, a year passed after I filled that form out, and I hadn't heard anything.
So it took longer than 6 months.
Right, and because it said minimum, it didn't guarantee 6 months, it just said minimum.
Right.
I reached out to the woman, and honestly, again, I was thrilled with the family I had, so I wasn't in a position of, like, I need these people in my life. Like, I wanted to get to know them, I wanted to find them, but, like, if, I wasn't, it could have taken 5 years, I don't think I would have cared. Do you know what I'm saying? So I talk to the woman again, same woman, and
this poor woman.
Ironically, I think I was her last case, and then she retired. But that was age, not because of me. But anyway.
Oh, no, I like to believe it was definitely you. She's like, fuck, all right, I'm done. I can't deal with CJ's family bullshit anymore.
Well, so I called, and she said, oh, hey. I mean, she was very pleasant, very nice. I remember her name. I'm just not saying it for her same reasons we don't say names. But she was great. I liked her a lot. And I said to her, I was like, just curious where we're at. I know it said 6 months minimum, so I just wanted to follow up, whatever. And she goes, actually, you're on my desk for this week. I was getting to you later this week, your file. I said, oh, great. I'm looking forward to what you find. And we parted ways, and that was it. 10 days later, she called me and said I found her.
Wow.
Yeah, it was quick. And so what we did was I wrote a letter at Kim's request to the woman at DYFS, and then she forwarded it to Kim's address. So she had Kim's address in Nevada. I didn't have it yet.
Right, it was not direct. You had an in between.
But in that letter, I provided my phone number and email address and said, feel free. You can write back through DYFS, or you can reach out to me
directly.
Yeah, whatever works best for you. And to Kim's credit, they came back to me directly. But she made me wait, I think it was almost 2 months before she responded.
Probably pretty daunting to. I mean, how does one write that first email being like, "Hello, my child"? Hello.
Yeah, and so it's funny because that's one of the first things I said to the woman at DYFS when she contacted me and said, we found her, you write her a letter. She's telling me all the details, all the pertinent information I need to know that she's allowed to tell me, and then she says, do you have any questions? And I said, yeah. And she goes, okay, well, what can I help you with? And I said, what the hell do I say to her?
It was less about what's the constructive criticism I should use. It's, you need a therapy session. Like, what do I say to her?
Right. And she was very nice and gave me some suggestions and whatever.
I'm sure she's had a lot. I'm sure she had a lot of experience.
And then I also had in my life at the time, if you remember, we've talked about my old podcast, Running a Hamster Wheel. We've talked about it on air once or twice. And my co-host at the time, her sister-in-law, who I knew, worked in social services. Now, not in that division, but with foster kids and stuff like that. And so I knew her well enough that I could reach out to her direct and say, hey, this is where I'm at. This is the situation I'm in. What do you recommend? And she gave me some suggestions as well. And actually was kind enough that when I finished my first draft, I sent it to her first. And she kind of perused it and said, leave this, take this. And the only thing she had me take out actually is I had included my street address. And she said, look, you don't know this woman. She could be perfectly fine, but don't include that to start.
Yeah, establish some connection and some trust before you. Ultimately, ironically, I gave you my phone number within the first second of us talking, but
right.
I'm not adopted. And I don't fear the adopted. So there you go.
And I didn't fear anything either. And I think that's what's been great about this. But anyway, so that's how that went. And then the reason it took her so long to get back to me was my sister was getting married. So it was right in the middle of them, like the final month right before the wedding and then whatever. And she actually wrote me back the day after the wedding is the date she wrote me back.
She was like, CJ, leave me alone. I got real shit to worry about.
But no, it wasn't quite like
no.
Yes. But she wrote me back and wrote a wonderful letter. And I have all the letters still because she did get me directly. She wrote back directly via email. And that went back and forth for like 8 months. But the interesting thing is the parts that I want to share with you, buddy, and I'm sorry for the long-windedness to get to this, is like no one in the family really knew.
Who's on your adopted family? Or
no, in the biological family.
So it's just you and Kim
and her mom, her dad, my grandfather, found out about 8 years before I reached out. So for 20 plus years, he didn't know, and a lot of the extended family didn't know. So, and my siblings didn't know. They had no idea they had a brother out there in the world.
Okay. I mean, I've been in a situation similar to that.
So she wanted, but the point of that is she wanted time before we started talking on the phone. We did emails back and forth for like 8 months. And the reason for that is she wanted time to start cycling people into what the truth was, right?
The talk, yeah.
Yeah. And ultimately she told everybody, my sister loved it. She absorbed it like immediately. Kim told her in November, and my sister's first response was, is he coming to Thanksgiving?
I was just about to ask that, yeah.
Yeah. So, and so she was 100% on board. The one she was the most concerned about was Michael, the one we just said congratulations to, because just because of his age, because at the time he would have been like 12, I think. 12 or 13, so he would have been young and probably had would have had a lot of questions. And apparently all my siblings were like, hey, my one brother Keith, he was like, nah, but that's just Keith. That's not,
right. It's less about you and more about him. Is really.
And when we get off here, when we're done recording, I'll see if I can find, before we disconnect for the night, I'll see if I can find you a picture of Keith, because Keith and I, oh my God, dude, it's crazy how much I look like Keith.
I know, that's probably his reaction. Like, oh great, there's someone else who fucking like. Why can't I just look like me? Why does someone else have to fucking look like me?
But yeah, so
even worse, he's like, now I realize I don't look like me. I look like this fucking asshole.
So, so then you're throwing me off my story, because there's a part of this story you're going to absolutely fucking love, and that's what I'm trying to get to. So we decided to make plans for me to finally come out there. By that point, we started talking on the phone. I started talking to my sister. I started getting to know these people even more, and we made plans for me to come out. And I was going to come out for Allie's, my sister. We were going to come out for Allie's birthday. So behind Allie's back, we tell Allie I'm coming out on the day of the birthday party. And behind her back, we actually scheduled my flight for like 3 days earlier. And the purpose for that, and I get this, was that Kim wanted some time with me. Because she knew Allie was going to basically like grab me and just like monopolize the rest of my time once she got a hold of me. So, and that was a good idea. And that's not a shot at Allie. It was a good chance for Kim and I to spend time together, So
Allie, you know what you are.
She doesn't listen, so I don't think she'll hear it. But anyway, but they had this huge birthday party for Allie, and all of the parties out there are huge. There's no such thing as a small birthday party or a small gathering with these people.
Give me some context. How old is Allie at this birthday party?
10 years, exactly 10 years younger than me. So 20, turning 22, 23.
Okay. I just want some context.
Yeah. 10 years and 6 months or so, because she's 6 months. She's almost 6 months after me date-wise, almost to the day. But
got it.
But also 10 years before. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, I hear what you're
saying. So people are coming over to the party, and a lot of them at this point already know who I am. At least they've never met me, but they know that I exist and that I'm going to be there and all this stuff, right? Except great-grandma. Except Granny Mary, the one you referenced earlier, the one with the video. No idea. Zero idea. They told her 10 minutes before she got there, or before I met her. She was already at the party. I was upstairs hanging out with Michael, and they told her, like, you have a great-grandson that you don't know yet, and he's upstairs.
That's pretty fucking funny. I remember you telling me that before.
Did I tell you that before? Okay, I wasn't sure.
You had said it, but not into the detail. Like literally found out about my existence and then met me within minutes of it. Like you had basically kind of talked, but you didn't say it was like, hey, surprise, you know?
Yeah, basically, yeah. And so we, the first like hour and a half, 2 hours at the party, she didn't say 2 words to me. I guess that she was trying to absorb, this knowledge. And then she became one of my greatest allies. I loved Granny Mary. I missed her to death. Yeah,
I'm sure. I mean, anybody who calls you a son of a bitch in a term of endearment,
Well, to be fair, she called everybody son of a bitch in the term of endearment. But but that's also how you knew you were in.
Yeah.
Like if she
were in
didn't,
the club.
Right. If she didn't call you that, then you were in trouble. You know what I mean?
Would she have called me a son of a bitch?
Oh, well, I see. Probably.
She probably would have called me a son of a bitch and meant that shit.
There's a great memory I have. Right. It's 2 days after this party, and I'm at Kim's house just hanging out, and they've got a nice pool in the backyard, and so we're just hanging out in the pool because it's 100 and fucking some odd degrees out, whatever. Right. And I'm just sitting on the edge of the pool at this point, just relaxing for a few minutes, and I feel these arms come from behind me and wrap around my shoulders. And I look up, and it's Granny. So the woman who, like, 2 days earlier was like, get the fuck away from me. Well, not to that level, but just very standoffish, is now hugging me and asking me how I'm doing, and it was just awesome. And it's a memory I'll never forget.
Right.
Yeah. So.
I mean, that's great, man. I'm glad you're opening. I'm glad you opened up about this. Not that you really ever were adamant against talking about this, but it's good to be a good adoption story. You know what I mean?
Oh, we love it, and that's actually the picture I showed you of me and my mom, and Kim together stems from that, because this organization heard about our story and how positive it's been, and wanted to do like a thing on it. And my mom was like, I can't afford to go out there. And they paid for Mom to make that trip so that picture could happen.
Can we say that you and I are long lost brothers so they could pay for me to come out to Jersey and meet you?
Fuck it. I'd rather do it the other way so I can come out to San Francisco. But
yeah, I'll give you some proper fried rice.
Yeah, fuck you. That's a behind the scenes joke, guys. Sorry about that.
Oh my god, anyway. That was so funny how you and I were just arguing yesterday about fried rice.
It was good.
For 20 minutes. 20 minutes we argued about fried rice, guys.
And you're still fucking wrong. Anyway.
I'm not fucking wrong.
You're fucking wrong.
You just like shit bland.
You don't know what real Chinese food is. So, in any event, listen, we're going to get back into it and let's not do that. But thank you for letting me share the stories. I do. This is something that I do value, and it's a connection that I'm so grateful is part of my life now.
Not to take away from your story or the focus on you, but I have I have something similar, and I kind of have a complete opposite experience, because my dad told me about another older sibling of mine. I mean, this was years ago, but that was kind of weird to be on the receiving end of being like, I have another half sibling somewhere out there.
Right.
And I'm not really close with her in at all. I've talked to her a couple times on the phone and I've met her once, but she lives in Hawaii. So when I went to my brother's wedding, when I went to Joel's wedding, I could say Joel because
you've said Joel 100 times. Yeah.
Right. When I went to Joel's wedding, we happened to be on the same fucking island as my half sister. And my dad and I both rationalized, it's not that we have to meet her. We have to see her.
Sure. And
my dad had already met her. I don't know the extent of if he knew her when she was a little girl, but there was just this, with her and her mother, there was just this open openness of, yes, Ron is your father. It was just never a question, and there was never proof. So it was like, I don't know. That's the thing, is we really don't know if we are actually related.
Oh.
But there's this whole openness of, well, of course he's my father. So, and the few times I talked to her before I met her on the phone, I was very much thrown off. Oh, that's a nice.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just putting up for after the fact, but yeah.
Is that Granny Mary to your left?
This, yeah, in the mint green shirt, and then on the far left is her daughter, Grandma.
Your grandma. I got you.
Yeah. So, and then
who's the one
in the jean jacket?
Yeah,
that's technically Aunt Michelle. That's complicated. I'll get behind on that later.
Okay. So I didn't, like, the first time I ever spoke to my quote unquote sister threw me the fuck off, because the phone rang, the house phone rang, and I answered it, and like, hi, is this Rika? And I'm like, yeah, how can I, who are you looking for? And she's like, I'm your sister. And I'm like, the fuck? Like, that was how I was sort of forced into coming to, like, confronting it, kind of being like, okay, it's now a thing. It's now, I have to acknowledge that I might have a sister. And when I met her, not to deep dive into it, and I don't know if she'll ever hear this, and I don't really particularly care. I don't really view her as my sister, and that's my own thing. But I have my own reasonings,
right?
But I also kind of felt like she was, especially there, because she has 2 kids. She has a couple twins, a daughter and a son, and without even preparing them or discussing with us, she just told her kids, this is your Uncle Rico. So it went from, I don't know if I'm your brother, to apparently I'm their uncle. And how I didn't treat the kids any differently. I was still very nice to them, and I still played with them.
Well, because you're not
an
asshole. Well, I mean, you are, but not to children.
Not to children, especially not to children. But like, I didn't really know how to feel on that. And I felt like I was pushed into a corner where I had to improvise. And that kind of was even now, my take on her is, I don't really, you may actually be my birth sister, but I don't really care. I don't really like how you handled the situation. I wasn't prepared for it. I didn't really kind of go into it open arms. So I kind of have like the opposite effect of what happened to you, which was your sister Allie was like, I have a little brother, bring him over here. And I'm like, I have another sister? Oh shit, Dad. Why couldn't you just stop fucking for a while? Like, why'd you got to do that? Yeah. But like he told me when I was 8. He told me when I was 8, but he knew forever. He knew from the very beginning. And that was, I think, like a bit of a contention between my other sister and him. I think it was kind of like a big deal.
That's kind of a shame, unfortunately.
It is, but I mean, I don't know if he was like married at the time, but I mean, Dad was with somebody, and then
Ron was Ron. I mean, I hate to say it that way, but Ron was Ron.
Yeah, I mean, it is how it is. I mean, I think I've been open about, like, my dad views fidelity as
loosely.
Not even loosely. His rationale is, I mean, he's from the 60s. It's a completely fucking. But like his argument is, I want someone to be with me at my side. If they're not going to be with me at my side, I'm going to find someone else, even if they don't really fully understand that or not.
Sure.
And I mean, my mother was the other woman. That's kind of.
I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
I don't know if I shared it on the air or not, but like that was kind of a big deal for me to find out that because I was born after they got married, but I still am the product and the proof of my older brothers and of their mother and their father not being able to handle a marriage. it was kind of like a weird roundabout way of like, I'm the proof of infidelity.
Yeah.
And it really did kind of fuck with me. And I had to go, once I kind of did the math, because I'm like, Nancy and Ron met in year Dad was still technically married to so-and-so. Oh, shit. And then I kind of went to both of them separately, and I was like, Joel, Alex, like, do you guys regretted me? Like,
you've actually mentioned this before. You've talked about that before, like that conversation you had. You have. I'm not trying to stop you now, but I'm just saying you've said it before.
Well, I think in the context of us talking about our family drama, sure. I think it would be more appropriate. But I also didn't remember if I'd actually said it on the air or if I said it to you.
I think it was on air.
Remember.
I think it was on air during the Mother's Day discussion. Might be
recently.
When it came.
Oh, I don't know. Motherfucker, we talk a lot.
Yeah, we do. We do.
But there's a happy ending. Is they were like, no, dude, we fucking love you. Like, if that's what it took for you to be born is like Ron cheating on our mom, so be it.
Yeah.
So
hey, I'm grateful for it. Thank you, Ron, for being an infidelis fucker. So
high infidelity.
So normally, Rico, I give you the last word on these things, but I think for this one, just because of the topic, I kind of want to take it if that's all right with you.
That's absolutely fine. I still get the damn it at the end, so I still win.
No, this one's a bonus, so no damn it. No damn it's on the bonus episodes.
All right, I'm going to say, damn it! Now, there you go. Now you can have the last slide.
If to anyone out there who have been in similar situations to mine or Rico's, man, family is what matters, and you know, sometimes it doesn't require blood to be a good family. CJ here with a few thank yous and let you know how you can get in touch with and follow the show and us. Listen to us on the Apple Podcast app, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you find your podcasts. Please don't forget to rate and comment. PodAskew is a member of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Visit their website, bigheadsmedia.com, and follow them on Twitter at BigHeadsMedia. If you want to agree with or yell at us, follow Rico, me, and the show on Twitter. The show is at PodAskew. Rico is at RantsRico, and I'm at M_Blade. We want to thank logo designer and show friend Mike for his work on our wonderful logo. You can contact him for artwork via email at logomike80@gmail.com. That's logomike80@gmail.com. Thank you to Samuel Lemons for all original music on the show, especially our theme music. You can find Sam on Twitter at Samuel Lemons, all one word, and his music on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/Samuel-Lemons. Finally, our biggest thank you is to you, everyone, for listening. Rico and I really appreciate your time and look forward to bringing you another episode soon.